who's joining on time. Your note takers often are a minute or two ahead of you, but it's good to see you all. And just to get everybody warmed up while we're waiting for everybody to join, please open up the chat window and type in there what city you are sitting in at the moment. I will start with Seattle. It's always wonderful to see how much of the world we get covered on these calls. I've seen up to about 14 time zones. There we go. Buenos Aires, Rosario, Argentina, Gurgaon, India. Another Seattle. Okay. Bangalore, Brig, UK. Lima, Peru. Dubai. More Bangalore. What did I miss there? Cape Town, South Africa. Nice. Bogota.
Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo, okay.
Right?
Yes.
We usually have the Latinos tend to get on this call better than others. I think it's the easiest time of day for all the Latinos. But Los Altos, California, okay, very good.
Good morning. I think this is contracultural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 8 a.m. in Bogota. It's 6 a.m. in Seattle, and when I do these calls from Hawaii in the winter, it's 4 a.m., which is a little tougher. But and our friends in Jakarta, it's usually I think 9 p.m. for them. I don't see anybody from Jakarta on yet, but we definitely cover the time zones here. So we'll declare our quorum momentarily here. What's our count? Let's just check. Yeah, okay. I'm going to say we are ready to get started. And Marcel, am I coming through audio okay?
Yes. Very
Great.
well.
You got your recording going?
Yes,
Fantastic.
as well.
Well, good morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. This is actually the largest turnout we've had for one of these workshops, I think, ever. And it might be because Marcelo's got his email list going better, or it might be because everybody's excited about agentic AI. But I'm super pleased to welcome you all here. I'm Will Poole, the Managing Partner and Chief AI Evangelist for Capria Ventures. And today we're going to really dive into agentic AI. But before we do so with our guest, Ben van Sprundel and his partner, Oscar, I'd like to just tell you a short story about what I've been doing to help our company, our firm, Capria Ventures, do this. And I'll rewind to over the Christmas holidays. I was doing what many people do over holidays, which is not actually take a holiday, but to do some reading, catching up on work. And in my case, playing with new agentic tools and pretty much everything AI I get my hands on and take some time out of the day to do. I'd like to do that when I have some downtime. And I wrote a memo in the beginning of January called A Year of Living Agentically, which is a spoof on a movie that I highly recommend if you haven't seen The Year of Living Dangerously, about a journalist and the political upheaval of in Jakarta in the 60s. But I wanted to get the whole team more attuned to the importance of embracing agentic AI, and for everybody to realize that it's not just in the realm of the development AI team here to do this work, that we can all do it. So I wrote that memo, and by the way, if you'd like to comment.
Well, I think that Will, Hi, Will.
Yeah.
You are breaking down. Now it's good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So about 2 months later, we had our global offsite in Istanbul, and Marcel and I teamed up to run a workshop on getting everybody to really use agentic AI themselves. And it was a bit of a risk because we said, hey, we're going to get literally the entire team to be using AI right there on the floor and to build an app. All right, so am I coming through now? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So what we did is we set up a tool called Lovable.dev, which is a Swedish tool that's really quite amazing. Has a couple limitations, but it's really quite amazing as a no-code, low-code development platform. And to make a long story short, I got the entire room building apps. And these are people who are not technologists. They're finance guys and gals, and there are a couple of us are geeks. But for the most part, we're a finance team. And I said, we're going to get us all to build an app. And so I'm going to read some of the apps that came out in literally just a couple of hours. And these are, invented and written while we're all sitting there in that workshop in Istanbul. Flight Time, a real-time dashboard to calculate when to leave your hotel based on traffic, weather, and airport conditions. Investor Lens, a stunning pitch site for our next fund built in under 2 hours with more visually compelling presentation than our corporate website. Fitness Quest, gamified wellness tracker, steps, calories, goals, rewards. Global Pulse, a single screen hub showing time zones, exchange rates, market shifts, and VC news across our international investments. Visa Compass, a tool to help Nigerian passport holders figure out where are visa-friendly travel destinations. So those are just a couple of examples that our team built themselves as a way to get to learn about how to in this case, use a really high-quality agent-based tool to do something that literally there's no way they could have done before because of they're not coders. So with that story, I'd like to introduce Ben van Sprundel and his partner Oscar, and they are going to talk us through how you all can really embrace these low-code, no-code platforms. And this will be very hands-on. We'll show you how things work and tell you about some things that they've been doing with their clients. Please do put questions up into the chat window. I'll jump in and interrupt Ben every now and then if need be, and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. But with no further ado, Ben, over to you.
Thank you so much, Will, for having me. Thanks, Will and Marcelo, and really happy to be here. I hope I can give some insights today. I'll go ahead and share my screen right away. So the goal today really is to hopefully give you some ideas on how to adopt an AI first mindset in running your company and how to get started with AI and automation today. And also I'll focus a bit on AI agents. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to focus on how to use AI to build your product, right? Which is something Will mentioned before, which is definitely a big upside of AI today too, but that's a whole other topic on itself. So I'll focus it mostly on how to automate your business processes to run your business more efficiently. Now, who am I? I'm Dutch. I live in Brazil. I'm an entrepreneur. I've run multiple businesses, and I mostly have a marketing and product management background. I am non-technical, meaning I am not a coder, but that is the magic of AI today. We don't have to be coders to build powerful products and systems. Currently, I'm the founder of Ben AI, which is my personal brand, where we basically run 3 businesses on there. First, we run an AI agency, where we basically are AI partners inside of businesses to help them adopt AI and automation in their business and do custom implementations. Then we have some pre-built AI systems that we sell directly to businesses that basically automate end-to-end workflows. Our big product at the moment is our SEO agency in a box, which basically automates the end-to-end workflow in SEO. And lastly, I have my education platform where we try to help people learn how to use no-code automation tools. I also run a YouTube channel where I give tutorials on AI automation. and I've been doing all of this since 2023. So to get started first, like, why should you go AI first? Now I think we can all see that AI is developing very, very fast and becoming more and more powerful by the day. So I think we can all agree that AI very soon will become an integral part of every business. So the way I see it is, the sooner you can start make this a priority in your business, the better, and the more you're going to be ahead of your competition. And we talk to businesses every day, and I can tell you 95 to 99% of businesses have not done anything with AI and automation and AI agents yet. So if you make this a priority in your business today, you will still be part of the early adopters and potentially get a competitive edge. Now, the upsides of AI, there can be multiple, but of course the big one, of course, is productivity gains. We can, by automating and enhancing our workflows, we can save costs, save time, and enhance our business processes. We future-proof our business. We can get a competitive edge, and we can scale a lot leaner, which I think is important for many of you too. We run our business AI first and really try to approach everything with that mindset, and therefore also try to run a high margin business, which up until now has worked well. So how should you think about AI first adoption? The way I think about it is in the following way. Basically, in this pyramid system, at the foundation really lies the most important aspect, which is changing the company culture, right? And this will sort of set the foundation for anything else you're doing with AI. The most important thing is that this becomes a priority company-wide, right? So AI should become that priority company-wide in order to get that AI first mindset in your business. This company culture is important because we've even seen companies, it sounds stupid, but it still happens, where using AI is considered cheating or things like that. That has to shift as soon as possible. But even further than that, some big CEOs have already come out and said things like this, like the Shopify CEO, Fiverr is saying it now too. All their employees are expected to use AI on a daily basis. And I think this is really, really important to set as a company culture from day one. So that's a way you can do that. I think I've seen some companies do it successfully, is also to maybe have bi-weekly meetings or monthly meetings where employees or people in the business have to show new use cases they found for their own tasks or workflows with AI. And that sort of forces people to start using these tools more regularly. Then the second layer of the pyramid is really using the tools and assistants that we already have, that everyone has access to today, right? Which is ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, all the major LLMs, and really, really use them on a consistent basis. These LLMs becoming more powerful by the day. More and more advanced workflows and automations can be done with these LLMs.
Yeah.
But
now I close door. You had key, huh? Yeah.
I think someone, okay. But this has to be done on a daily basis. There is a learning curve involved in even these simpler tools, and it has to be used on a daily basis to really see the efficiency of it, and also to discover new opportunities for potential full automation, right? Which is the third layer of the pyramid, which is starting to automate some repetitive tasks in your business fully autonomously, right? Which really is focused on efficiency win. And once you've automated some repetitive tasks in your business, you can eventually transform multiple of these automations into AI systems, where you really start automating end-to-end workflows that can have direct business outcomes in your business. An example could be a BDR AI system that can autonomously find leads, enrich those leads, do personalized outreach, and respond to leads in your inbox and book meetings directly. But this is a big system, of course, and shouldn't be built from the start. It should be a modular approach. So I'll go over sort of these 3 steps on how you can best adopt these 3. So for the first one, for the tools and assistants that we already have available, the low-hanging fruit, again, is let everyone in your company become a power user of the major LLMs, right? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc. We have lots of these models available to us today, and we are already entered the next era of these LLM providers, right? In 2023 and 2024, these were very much assistants, right? They could help us write some emails or do some tasks, and sometimes it even feels like an extra step in your workflow. That's why many people didn't even use it that much. But now LLMs are turning into AI agents, right? Already with deep research now, for example, in ChatGPT, we now have MCPs available in Claude, and browser use. We can really use these LLMs now to actually take actions on behalf of us inside of these tools and start automating simple workflows inside of these tools. And I can show you a quick example, because, for example, my Claude is connected to multiple of my softwares. You can see it's connected to my Drive, it's connected to Perplexity, Webflow, Airtable, YouTube Transcriber, etc., etc. You can connect this to your entire tech stack, basically, to take actions right from within Claude, right? So I can show you a quick example here. For example, our CRM is built in Airtable, so Claude has direct access to the information in my CRM in Airtable. So I can say something like, check my Airtable meeting intelligence base, which is my CRM, and retrieve all leads.
Hey, Ben, while it's doing that, can you explain MCP?
Yes. So MCPs, basically, you can see as an API for APIs. So I can show you through this example. So you can see, for example, Airtable, in this case, there are lots of different actions we can potentially take inside of Airtable, right? Which is the database, right? So, for example, it can list bases, right? It can get records, it can update records, it can update fields. So there are hundreds of these little API calls inside of each software, right? So traditionally, when we're building an agent, we had to set up all of these API calls separately, which can be quite consuming, especially if we have lots of different API calls or actions we can take inside of one software. Now, with MCPs, what we can do is, instead of setting up all these little actions separately, we can just give it access to the Airtable MCP, and the Airtable MCP will already have access to all of these different actions and already know how to use these, right? So you can see, without me manually connecting all of these separate API calls, it already uses multiple of these actions here in Claude, right? And it can use it very intelligently, as you can see, right? It goes from step by step trying to find the information. So first it looks at this base, then at this base, then it gets the records, etc. And you can see now we get all my leads in my pipeline in my CRM listed right here. And as I've given Claude access also to, for example, meeting transcripts, it can even now retrieve meeting transcript of calls I've had with specific meetings, specific leads. So, for example, I can say here, do deep research on and also check past meeting transcripts. And then, of course, we can start asking questions, help us prepare for next meetings, etc. But you can imagine the amount of use cases and workflows we can do right from within Claude, just by connecting it with MCPs of our softwares.
But the key thing here, which is why I think the world has lit up just in the past couple of months about MCPs, is it's an open standard that lets any agentic system talk to any agentic set of capabilities, right? And that is going to enable, I think, a much faster growth and deployment of on both sides there.
Exactly. It's just I can tell you all of these connections I set up here in Claude took probably less than 5 to 10 minutes. If anyone's interested, I have a tutorial on my YouTube channel how to connect this, but it's quite easy to do. You don't need any technical, almost zero technical skills, and you can have hundreds of these actions across all your software set up in 10 minutes, which traditionally trying to set up an agent manually with all of these API calls would literally take you days or weeks. All right. So you can see it's doing deep research on all the meeting transcripts, etc. And now gives me an overview of the business, right? It will help me prepare for the meeting, right? Propose solution.
And this is 100% off the shelf Claude plus off the shelf Airtable, right? You've not written any code here. You've not built anything.
Nothing. No.
Yeah. So everybody take note. You could do this yourself today.
Exactly. Exactly. This is my point. And like I've set up some Claude projects here, basically, also where you can basically pre-instruct on a specific workflow already. So for example, I have a YouTube repurposing tool here for LinkedIn, right? So I've just given it a knowledge base or a sort of a system prompt on what to do inside of this specific Claude project. So in this case, I've pre-instructed it what to do to repurpose a YouTube link into a LinkedIn post. So all I have to do here, I'll show you a past example, is just paste in a YouTube link. It will already know from the pre-instructions what to do. So we'll get the transcript, right? Then use a specific tool I use to write LinkedIn posts. Then I can iterate with Claude on the LinkedIn post, etc. And then can even use it to post it on LinkedIn, things like that. But you can imagine the amount of use cases here are already limitless.
Hey, a couple questions in the chat window. One is somebody asked about the Google A2A protocol, and somebody else asked about is the plugin between Airtable and Claude. How does that actually work, or does anybody need to care?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways you can set up MCPs. I don't know how technical you want to go.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay. Yeah, so basically there are three main ways at the moment you can set up MCPs and connect it directly with Claude. So the first one is the official route, right? And a lot of softwares don't have an official MCP yet. Some do, right? If they do, it's the best option, right? The second option is to do it through these no-code platforms like Make.com, N8N, etc., where we can basically build our own MCPs. Because you can imagine a platform like Make.com already has lots of native integrations with third-party softwares. So they have all these API calls set up for us, and then we can basically build our own MCPs. So you can set up an MCP trigger on Make.com, connect it to all of the actions in your specific software, then give that MCP to Claude, and then it will be connected to all the actions that are relevant to you. And the third option is there are lots of people now building MCPs, which are called community MCPs. Now these might have some sort of risk still in terms of you don't necessarily know maybe how they've set it up, etc. Some of them don't work perfectly fine yet. So for now, I would stick to setting up your own MCPs through these no-code softwares, and I'll talk about the no-code softwares in a second, and sticking with the official MCPs of softwares. Yeah, the second question, Will?
Oh, just somebody asked about relationship to the Google A2A protocol.
Yes, yeah. So A2A, that's very much at the beginning still. I see this is where it's heading more and more, right? It's agent-to-agent communication, right? And A2A is gonna be, it's in the initial stages there, right? We're not there yet, but it's gonna be potentially a huge unlock for agent communication, right? Because the way I see things heading is everyone will have their personal agent, every business will have their agent, and of course there needs to be a communication protocol that's between, you can imagine a network of agents around the world of millions or billions of agents. They need a good protocol for communication, right? So this is sort of the A2As laying the foundation for that.
So really, to put this into context, then MCP connects capabilities to an agent, and A2A connects agents together.
Exactly. That's a very good way to describe it. Yes.
Great. Okay, let's keep going. That's great. Thank you.
So this is my point is why I'm talking about this so much is because many companies I see too tend to want to jump into automating entire processes, etc. But most people and most companies are not even using the tools that are already available and can use today to its full potential. And these models will only become more powerful, right? Now these LLMs are basically like AI agents already, but very soon they'll even be like strategic partners, right? That can really execute autonomously on behalf of you. The current limitations of these LLMs is they are still limited in terms of long-term memory. They're not that context aware, therefore, and they don't have a complete sort of business understanding yet. Therefore, they are still assistants in that sense. We still have to be there with them, but very soon they can start doing some things autonomously. So don't sleep on the LLMs, and make sure that this is a priority across your business to use these tools on a daily basis. Because again, there is a bit of a learning curve. Now, the next step in the pyramid is, of course, to start with some no-code automation, right? And I'll cover the four following points. It's first, I want to just describe very quickly the difference between automation, AI automation, and AI agents. Then I'll describe the no-code AI automation tool landscape and give you my advice on which tools to use. Then I'll show you the use cases of where to get started with automation and some low-hanging fruit. So first, for agents versus automation, because I would just want to cover it because I do see some people being confused on the difference, and a lot of people mix the two a bit, but there is an important distinction. So of course, automation, traditional automation without AI has been around for decades already, right? And automation, of course, is based on logic, right? And predefined rules, right? So you can imagine, well, it's to automate repetitive and non-intelligent tasks. So an example could be for you get a new lead that fills out a lead form on your website, that automatically updates into your CRM, and then maybe you send a Slack notification to your Slack channel about a new lead coming in, right? That would be a traditional automation. We don't even need AI because it's a non-intelligent repetitive task. Right now that we have AI, of course, we can do more intelligent things inside of these automations. So let's say instead of just sending out a Slack message and updating the CRM here, we can now actually let the LLM do something with the information we got in the lead form. So for example, we can get an LLM to personalize an email and then send that email out, right? So we add intelligence into the automation, but the important distinction here is in AI automation, it's still predefined through logic, the step by step, right? So it's a deterministic workflow, right? Now, of course, we have AI agents, and the big difference with AI agents, it's a non-deterministic workflow, right? And the way AI agent works usually is an AI agent has access to tools, right? So just like I showed you before, right? It has access to tools in Airtable, for example, or to your CRM, to web search, to your Slack channel, etc. And the big difference here is we haven't pre-instructed deterministically what this agent should do. In this case, the AI agent is the brain of the automation. So the AI agent decides which tools to use to achieve its outcome, right? And we, of course, pre-instruct that inside of the agent prompt, right? Now, besides that, generally, an AI agent also has access to memory and knowledge, but that's a big difference, right? Because you can imagine if we automate a similar workflow as I described before with an AI agent, where a lead fills in a form, the AI agent will then take charge of the operation and decide which tools to use to achieve its outcome. So it might first use lead web search option to do more research on the lead, to find more data points. Then it might update the CRM and then send out a personalized email to the lead, for example. Now,
So Ben, there's a question that's just posted here, which is about what about hallucinations in an agent? And wow, it'd be kind of scary if you think about an agent as, you know, a new hire who doesn't know your business but is a smart person. But you imagine that every now and then they come into your company after taking some illicit substances and then try to do their job. It's not going to go well. There's a famous case where an agent was set up for a chatbot agent for a sales operation, and somebody convinced the agent to sell up a car for $1 or something about 6 months ago. So how do you think about hallucinations in this world where you're giving more and more power to the agent to operate autonomously and non-deterministically?
exactly. It's a very good point, and that's why I wanted to cover this too, because AI agents are getting a lot of hype right now, but there are lots of currently downsides to AI agents, yeah, which the big one is you mentioned, right? It's like, because they're non-deterministic, even if the error rate is 3% or 2%, if you run this on large volume of tasks, it's going to run into errors, right? Into hallucinations, into taking the wrong actions, etc. Right? So the big point I want to make here is there's a lot of hype on AI agents, but most companies should start with AI automation for most of their business process automation. Why? Because you should start automating pre-established workflows that you've already have inside of your business. And that means there's already a logic inside of that process. And therefore, you'll most likely be able to lay this out into a predefined workflow, which will become almost 100% reliable versus an AI agent that will still make mistakes. Now, why is it?
There is an option here which you haven't put on your slide, which is called the human in the loop, right?
Exactly.
So you'll talk about that at some point. Yeah.
Exactly. I will. Now, there is one. Of course, there are lots of upside. There are some upsides to AI agents, right? Which is, first of all, of course, they have memory, they have knowledge, and they are very good at communication, right? They can talk to people. And second, they are very dynamic, right? Instead of a rigid, step-by-step, predefined workflow, they can decide dynamically which tools to use at what point. So at the moment, they are already really useful for customer-facing applications, meaning like, for example, customer support, inbound sales, etc. So think chatbots and voice agents. Because these AI agents have memory, knowledge, and can use tools dynamically, you can imagine each customer's conversation has a unique workflow behind it, right? Each customer needs to have their problem resolved in a different way, or there needs to be a different course of action. So for these use cases, AI agents are already the preferred option, right? But right now, it's mostly limited to these customer-facing applications, right? The second is the human in the loop, which you mentioned, which I call the assistants, which is sort of the use case I showed before with Claude, right? Is we're still sitting next to Claude, right? And actually decide on what he can do and what he cannot do, right? And the third one is AI agents are really good at research. Now, that's why I put a fourth one here. The way we use agents mostly is inside of predeterministic workflows for specific tasks. So there's a difference here. Instead of giving the AI agent direct, putting him in charge of the entire process or workflow, he's just part of the automation, of the predefined automation, and we give it a specific task, because AI agents are actually really good in these sort of research tasks. Because you can imagine, if we give this AI agent access to web search, to LinkedIn scraper, or lots of different web scrapers, etc., you can use all of these tools dynamically to find as much relevant information on a lead, for example, as possible, instead of just giving it one specific tool to do research on one lead, right? So this is, at the moment, the way we use AI agents, mostly customer facing or inside of workflow automation.
So two more comments come up here. One of them asks for around scalability for human in the loop. And I guess I'll give my first answer to that, and I'd like to hear your view, Ben, as well. If what you're doing is empowering a human who's already there to be more productive by adding agent in the loop, if you will, then it's human agent pairing, right? You're putting the two together and you're increasing productivity, and you're keeping the human just doing what they're already doing, which is the best job they know how to do, but they're assisted. They now have a multiplier effect because the agent's handling somehow part of their workload. A friend of mine's got a system that has 1,000 customized small language models, each of them paired up with a customer service agent to speak in their dialect, if you will, to their customers. And it can take, 50, 75% of the workload. Well, all of a sudden, those 1,000 guys can now do twice as much work, right? And it looks the same as it was before. And the agent does know, it's trained enough to say, if I don't know, I go over to the human. So it doesn't try to do something it doesn't know how to do. Somebody else asked the question about, can you have two of these things going together and a third one overseeing the two and trying to use that as a way to reduce errors? So maybe you could just talk a little bit about different strategies you've seen deployed to deal with this concern.
Yes. Yeah, so there's definitely ways you can build guardrails into this, right? So for example, one example you mentioned is like we can directly build human in the loop inside of these systems. So we can even give it a tool. For example, it's like, if you're not 100% sure, send me a message on Slack, right? And then you can get in as a human in the loop, for example. Or when they're retrieving knowledge from a knowledge base, you can have an LLM evaluation step before it actually answers. So the evaluation step basically checks if the answer retrieved from the knowledge base actually is the answer to the original query, and if not, it will instruct the agent to not answer. So there are definitely techniques to build more guardrails in it, but it is still important to understand that AI and LLMs are inherently undeterministic, so there will always be a small margin of error. So my bigger point is, and of course these systems are getting better by the day, my bigger point is, if you have a pre-established workflow, you should probably take the logic, the predefined deterministic approach instead of the AI agent approach. Now,
yeah, and then one of the questions here is around, what about in a regulated environment, loan origination or collateral verification? And I think the answer to that question is simply what you just said, is that, hey, you've got a workflow already that has a human to do this work. You cannot, in a regulated environment today, turn that work entirely over to an agent. You don't want to do that. And just like, by the way, when I drive my electric car that has various forms of alleged self-driving capabilities, you have to still have your hand on the steering wheel. Okay, and if you don't, you're taking your life into your hand, or you're putting your life in somebody else's hand. It's not deterministic, so it's not a good idea. So I think the same thinking has to apply here. This stuff is not far enough along that you can have a guarantee that you could run it with 100% accuracy in loan origination or collateral verification or any other business absolutely critical term. Now, people aren't either, right? People aren't 100% accurate, but they're the best we have. So I think people plus agents should be better than people alone.
Exactly, 100%, 100%. And that it's a very good point, Will. And it's whether you go AI automation, AI agent, etc. You still need to instruct any of these systems on the actual process, right? So you have to have that really clear in your head, whether you do that in the agent prompt or in a predefined workflow or automation. You need to have the process clear. You can't just hand it off to an agent and expect it to magically execute on something. That we are far from that. I think the human in charge is going to be part of this for a long time, right? And I'll show you later a little bit of our SEO system, and you'll see that the human in the loop is in a large way, the way you described it right now, Will, which is the human is in charge of the process, the AI is the executioner, right? That's how I see it at the moment. So that being said, what are the main no-code automation tools and where should you get started? If you want to get started with this, so here basically on the x-axis, I have on the left side, I have like easy to use tools, and on the right side, the more technical tools. And then on the y-axis, I have at the top AI agents, and at the bottom AI workflows or AI automation. Right now, in general, you can think of the easier to use one of these automation platforms is, the less flexible it's going to be in the long run, and the more costly it's going to be to run for each execution. And of course, the technical, the steeper the learning curve, but the more flexible it will be and the more scalable in the long run. And then you have some platforms who are purely focused on AI agents, which is Relevance AI, for example, which purely focuses on these sort of agentic workflows. And Make.com and N8N, for example, are traditionally automation platforms that are now, of course, integrated with AI and now also added in agents, so they can basically cover both of these. Now, in general, my recommendation is, because you want to adopt these platforms to become scalable over the long run and to expand on these systems you're building when you're starting out, you want to, I think, adopt the platforms on the right side here, which is Make.com, N8N, and Relevance AI, which are my three main recommendations, because with these tools, you will be a bit limited in the longer term if you want to expand on these automations you're building. And N8N, for example, will also be the most cost efficient and scalable in the long run. So here I have an example of a Make.com.
Quick
Yes,
question, back to your landscape.
Yes.
Microsoft Power Platform and UiPath, can you just point to where they would fit on that chart?
I don't have direct experience with Microsoft Power Platform, but I can imagine these tools are also a bit more on this side, right? Because this is their guys' business, right? It's like, this is what I've been doing and building upon for years, for decades, right? So generally, any new player that comes on board, right, will be more on this side, and these, because they have the infrastructure built up for decades already.
Great, thank you.
But I couldn't tell with certainty because I don't know the tool. But here's a quick example of a Make.com workflow, right? Highly recommended to maybe build your first automations to sort of start understanding how this works, right? It's really easy, no-code AI automation software. right? And you can also build agents now in make.com. And the big advantage of make.com is you have more than 2,500 native integrations, meaning they have basically all of these API calls set up for you already inside of make.com. So usually it's a one-click integration instead of working with JSONs and scary things for non-coders, basically. So you can see here's a quick example of an inbound personalized email system that we use ourselves. So an inbound lead comes in through our lead form, we update our CRM, we personalize an email, send it out to the lead, and update our CRM, right? I'll give you some more examples later. Relevance AI, again, as I said, is basically allows you to really easily build your own custom AI agents with no code. As you can see, I have a quick example here too. We have an AI agent here with a tool that can send emails, that can send WhatsApps, it can update our HubSpot, it can send a LinkedIn invite, can even do a voice call, can research a company, etc. So you can see in this case, instead of through logic, right, predefined logic, which you saw here with make.com, where these routers are basically if-then conditions, we just instruct agents step by step what to do, right? And then we have N8N. As you can see, it looks like the most complex one, and it is, but it is still no code, and it is really not rocket science, right? I'm not a coder. I figured this all out by myself. And N8N is the most technical sort of these automation softwares, but it's also the most production ready, the most flexible, and will be the most cost efficient in the long run, because you can also self-host your N8N.
So somebody asked about that question a few minutes ago, which is a concern around data retention and provenance. And so N8N would enable you to self-host and ensure that your data stays in a world that you know, whether it's your local cloud, your local service, whatever they are. N8N has that benefit, yeah.
Exactly, that is the huge benefit of N8N, and that's why we choose N8N also for most customers that have some data privacy concerns or things like that. We always recommend self-hosting. It'll also be much more cost efficient in the long run, right? Because with self-hosting, depending on how you set it up, you can basically run unlimited automations for like $20 a month. Of course, taking out the API costs, etc. So where do you start with automating? Now, I put this out there because the common pitfall again is you learn all of this, you get excited, and you're like, I'm going to automate my entire business. You want to start, first of all, small, right? It's very much like, I think of it like product building. You want to have the MVP approach, right? Start very small and expand from there, right? Second thing, you want to start with high volume, repetitive tasks, right? This is also a common pitfall you might fall into, is you try to automate jobs or workflows. Yeah, you actually don't spend that much time on. So you want to actually sort of make a list. You can also do an audit in your business, right? Make everyone list their tasks and workflows and the amount of time they spend on it, to sort of make a priority on which workflows to start with. And then the second big one there is start with well-established processes, right? Where there's a clear input and output, right? A little bit what we talked about before. You don't want to just hand over work that is not defined through an AI agent or whatever, because it's not going to work. It has to be a well-established process. Still, that's the only way you're going to be able to automate workflows or processes. So what are some low-hanging fruit? I've focused it specifically on sales and marketing, also because we focus mostly on this. In outbound sales, there's some real low-hanging fruit, which is, first of all, lead generation. AI has made web scraping a lot easier. So we can now scrape leads from basically any website. Think Apollo, LinkedIn, any other website, Google Maps, any website you can think of. You can make workflows today to generate leads from them. Then, of course, you can also enrich and find data on those leads to either qualify them, score them, or potentially personalized outreach, which you can then send out automatically to on email, LinkedIn, or any other channel. Then for inbound sales, same thing. We can automate a large part of the admin related work inside of our sales process, like lead enrichment, qualification, lead scoring. We can drastically enhance the speed to lead by quick personalized contact points through email, LinkedIn, voice agents, right? We can have the meeting intelligence, right? Automated meeting preparation notes, follow-up emails, personalized email nurturing. I can show you very quickly, for example, our
Before you go on to that one, there's
Yes.
an interesting question here, which I'm sure many people are thinking about, which is, hey, if we're automating this many fundamental mission critical aspects of the business, we now have a single point of failure, which is this N8N implementation, right? So if it's taking my inbound sales and all of a sudden I've got, too much workload coming in and it falls over, what happens? So how do you deal with either stress testing or otherwise managing failover on potentially, I run a marketing campaign, I've got 1,000 leads coming in tomorrow instead of 100. How do you scale it up? How do you be confident that it's running correctly?
Yeah, first of all, it's testing, of course, starting small. That's the first thing, right? Don't automate. Like me saying this, right? I'm not saying automate all of this today, right? Start with one small part. These tools like N8N have error handling built in, right? So you can be notified as soon as something goes wrong. You can have error handling steps in place. Like the most common ones you see is API calls sometimes fail, but you can easily build in into these systems retry nodes, so it automatically retries an API call after a certain amount of time, things like this. In general, you'll see if you've stress tested this when building it out, you can see you can run this quite, these systems on N8N can become quite production ready, right? But of course, you can't underestimate the testing involved in these when deploying this on high volume tasks. Now, of course, with AI, again, there is always a non-deterministic part. So it's always also important still to think, how critical is this workflow? Like if it's 100%, like if it has to be 100% reliable always, you might not want to start there, right? But many like high volume tasks, right? It's better to have 99% extra information with 99% working well, with having extra information and one maybe going wrong. But yes, you do have to think about how critical is this workflow. But I'll show you later.
I think everybody on the call here is saying, I see a clear energy around, how do I put this into mission critical roles? And so maybe we don't have time today to go into this, but I think a discussion around how do you do some of the things that you've said, such as scale testing. How do you make sure that a pager beeps for somebody or a phone call gets, a text message goes to somebody for an escalation? How do you recognize if the same things that any SaaS provider has to do, right? You're now running effectively a mission critical SaaS equivalent within your organization that's just called an agentic workflow. And everything that you've got to do if you're a SaaS provider already yourself, or if you rely on Slack or any other mission critical SaaS out there in the world, the back ends of those things have to be scale tested, hardened with all kinds of scalability, failover, and other things to be built into them. You're now taking on that responsibility if you stand up an N8N server yourself and put this in your inbound sales lead or anything else that's mission critical.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying be careful with AI agents, because they're non-deterministic. And if you have critical workflows, don't expect these things to work perfectly, because they don't work perfectly yet, right? So that's why I'm saying you can't trust what an AI agent, 100% what an AI agent will say in a voice call, right? But if you have a lead flow of 10,000 people and you currently, have, 10-day follow-up times, it's just a pain point in your business. We've seen businesses that, yes, sure, it doesn't work perfectly always, but it's still a high ROI for the business. If we like talking about specifically N8N production and how to set it up, it will be, we can jump into it a bit, but I have some examples here. But like the way we set this up is very modular, right? So I'll jump into it in a second, I think, because it might make more sense if I continue the presentation, or is there something specific?
No, that's fine. Keep
Yes.
going. I just wanted you to be aware of that concern. So
Yes. And then for marketing, we can do like, and it's important to think here too, you always want to have, for any critical workflow, you want to have human in the loop, right? Which again, maybe that's why I show you an example here. Is like, this is, for example, our automated CRM is where we automatically, whenever a meeting books in, we do automated lead research, and then we sort of get a brief that prepares us for that first meeting, right? So we get company intelligence, right, where we get a company profile, the company size, the expected deal value, the annual revenue range. We get the contact person information, if they're a decision maker or not, some background on the person. Then we get a personalized meeting strategy for that meeting and a meeting brief, right? For that second after that first call, we of course transcribe that meeting. Our system then prepares us, based on that first meeting transcript, for the second sales meeting. And then even at the last part, and this is an example of the human in the loop, it can generate proposals for us based on the meeting transcripts. And as you can see here, we have human in the loop built in. So it builds it drafts the draft proposal basically here, but we can still here decide to change things, read it over, make sure that everything's fine, right? And whenever things are fine, then we can generate the proposal, which in this case we use PandaDoc to generate our proposals. But then it will be automatically generated inside of PandaDoc in our template, etc., with all the company information, right? But for these things, for example, we built in human in the loop because we know we can't just send out a proposal without actually checking it, right? So this human in the loop is a recurring theme that you really want to be putting into these workflows. For marketing, some low-hanging fruit is content repurposing. If you have any long-form content like YouTube videos or blog posts, etc., you can set up quite simple workflows to repurpose this content across other channels. Again, you do want to have human in the loop in general before you start posting on social media. SEO is, of course, what we use a lot. You can do a lot there: keyword research, content generation, strategy generation, marketing analytics, also competitor marketing analytics, ideation by scraping, by web scraping, automations, etc., are also some low-hanging fruit. And the next phase really is, once you've started automating some of your workflows, is to go towards AI systems. Now, what do I mean with AI systems? It's basically trying to string together some of these smaller automations, which you can see more as tasks, right, into a larger workflow, right? So you can think of these simpler automations more like tasks, but they are still tasks inside of a larger workflow, which you can consider like a job, right? So a component of a workflow and an AI system would be more of an end-to-end workflow, right? And that can really deliver on a business outcome, right? So an example here is we can have a keyword research automation, which can definitely help make the process of keyword research a lot more efficient, right? For example, we add a new topic, we do automated keyword research, we get the metrics for those keywords, we filter the keywords for difficulty and volume, we cluster the keywords according to intent, and then we add them to Google Sheet. But of course, keyword research is still only one part of the larger workflow, which is SEO, right? And once you start automating more and more, you can start stringing this together into an AI system. So you can, SEO, of course, consists of a lot more. It's research and strategy, it's content generation, it's publishing, it's analytics, and usually work goes in a loop, right? After you analyze the analytics, you try to adapt the strategy and improve in the next cycle of work. And each of these parts, of course, consists of multiple tasks or automation, right? Like content generation consists of generating meta titles, content generation, internal linking, etc., etc. Publishing has multiple tasks involved. Analytics has multiple tasks involved. And this is the way we build sort of these large end-to-end workflows. Is in end-to-end, we basically have lots of these smaller automations strung together into an AI system. So you can see, for example, this part is the keyword research. This one is tech audits or site audits. And we string them all together inside of an interface. We like to use Airtable, where you can think of any interface, where the human is still in charge of executing all of these smaller tasks or automations, right? And not only executing, but also checking the output of each of these steps, being able to iterate on the outputs before taking the next step, right? So that human in the loop is really important, especially for these end-to-end workflows, because you can imagine if we try to automate a large end-to-end workflow like this completely autonomously, so we'd string this all together, if something tiny or small goes wrong in this first part, right, it will have terrible consequences at the end, right? So to be able to automate these end-to-end workflows, you can slowly but surely maybe string together more and more of these smaller automations into an AI system where you have a human in charge. And I can really show you.
If I can highlight what Ben is saying here, this is an approach. It's called human-centric AI implementation, and basically saying build your systems with a presumption that they are amplifying the capabilities of the humans you've got, and not to replace them in the entirety. And if we can do more with the people we have and reduce the workload and cognitive load of things that are not ultimately requiring the capabilities of that human, then the human can simply get that much more done. And that, if you take that approach from day zero, and I come back to your point at the very beginning about the cultural change needed, if you make sure everybody understands that we're here to help the humans on our teams do more and do better through the AI, they will then be much more willing and interested in doing everything that Ben is showing you, right? If you say, no, you're going to help me build a system, then you got no job tomorrow, they're not going to be, leaning in to help make this thing great. So I think that cultural message from the very beginning is critical, and I see you nodding because you probably have seen this happen, right, Ben, in your implementation.
Yes.
And so building the human in the loop as the point of both ensuring quality, ensuring speed of adoption, and ensuring ultimate alignment with your company mission, I think is critical. And at some point, there may be some humans who aren't as needed, but if you grow your business faster, and you can just double your business with the same number of people, you're doing great, right? And everybody's going to win on that situation.
100%. And that's really what I'm seeing so much is any real world AI application right now is enhancing the capabilities of a human, right? And the only way to make these tools work is domain expertise, right? And I think that's really also what I want to give away is if you can adopt, you all have domain expertise and you really know your industry and your business really well. If you can combine that with AI, that's really where the power is. Right, it's this completely autonomous future. We're very far from it. what I'm seeing at the moment. It's just helping us be far more productive, right, and work on the right things.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the questions come in here, which is a bit of a recap to say, hey, can you go? We've done a deep dive,
Yes.
and can you now come back and put what you're showing with N8N into perspective of the discussion we had around MCPs and the overall hierarchy of implementing agentic systems?
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll go to the initial slide. So basically, let's see. So this is the way. It might got lost, right? But this is the first step, right? Changing the company culture worldwide, company-wide. Make sure everyone uses the tools that are available and everybody can use today, which is the LLMs, right, on a daily basis, to try and enhance their current work, right? And maybe someone in your business can try to connect some of these MCPs to your company account to be able to start executing some tasks in your business, in your software, sorry. And then the next step is really to start with playing around a little bit with these no-code tools to really start automating some workflows, and again, start small, right? Repetitive tasks, non-critical, and expand from there, right? AI systems might be far ahead. I just wanted to show what's possible if you really make this adoption in the long run. But this is really where you want to focus. And this is the last slide basically that I have, is like, who should do this in your business? If I go down, must be an easier way. Apparently not. Is who, right? And I think these first two is really company-wide, right? Again, anyone should be using these tools, these LLMs on a daily basis, right? You can have these meetings in your company where everyone shows new use cases they found for their work, etc., to sort of create that culture. And for this part, where you really dive into the automation and the AI systems, maybe potentially, you most likely want to have a dedicated person to it. Now, we call it a chief AI officer, but you can basically see it as an AI product manager, right? Someone who's just dedicated into building building and managing and maintaining these automations inside of your business. Now, the skill set for this person, again, I come back to that. It's really important for this person to have a really solid understanding of your business processes, because that is really the ingredient to make these automations actually useful and work well, right? We have to be instructing our domain expertise and our knowledge inside of these systems to make them valuable. And then they have to be there. They don't have to be, but it's good if they're somewhat technical. Of course, they don't have to be coders. I'm not a coder, but some technical skills, of course, is useful. So the way you can do it is you can use some or dedicate someone who already works in your company to adopt this role, or you can, of course, hire someone. But I can tell you it's quite hard still to hire for this specific role because there are just not that many people who are really good at this yet, and the ones who are, they're in high demand, right? And the second option is to work with an AI agency, right? And the way you want to look at an AI agency is you basically want to adopt them as a long-term partner, right? Because again, they need to have a good understanding of your business and your business processes, etc. And this is a long-term sort of relationship. So this will be like a partner, your AI partner. So that's sort of how you want to look at outsourcing this, right?
Ben, can I add one more skill set that I think you haven't mentioned, that's part of when you say business understanding? There's another key skill here, which is change management. All right. And anybody that's been a leader in a decent sized organization that's tried to drive business transformation knows that the process of establishing the need for change and getting your culture pointed in the right direction of that change that you want to establish is in itself an art form within your company, right?
Mm.
Doing that well. And there's people that are really good at doing change management, and there's people that don't do it so well. And so I think that adding that role of really well thoughtful change management to the top of that leadership stack is critical. Because this is fundamentally changing how potentially entire aspects of your business operate over time. And if you don't do that, you don't bring the team along with you, you're not going to have success.
Yeah, great point. Very interesting. Yes, that's it from my side. Lastly, yeah, if you want to learn more, I do have a community where we have some more courses. Of course, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have lots of tutorials on all of these automation platforms. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Well, Ben, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic, both broad overview and deep dive at the same time. And I hope that everybody feels like they now have at least a feeling for what can be done and some ideas of how to go about it. We can stay on and handle a few more questions if you have them. We posted a 30-second survey. We always love to get your feedback on how we do this and how we can do more better in the future. But let's just pause for a second. Anybody have any questions they want to put to Ben and about how to think about this? Or we already asked them all. There we go. Fabio, please go ahead.
Hey, Ben, nice to meet you, and congratulations on your business. I'm based in São Paulo. We are going to talk, definitely.
Yes.
I have a question that I asked in the chat window. Since you are both AI and SEO experts, of course, there's a challenge of traffic migration from Google to LLMs, right? So what's your take on this, and how do you think we can migrate also the SEO strategy?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to predict exactly where it's going, but like the more and more search will be taken over by LLMs, right? That's just going to be the reality. We're already seeing it, but mostly on the informational layer, right? So the first approach we take, at least, is to really focus on bottom funnel, becoming as strong as possible on bottom funnel. If we look at e-commerce, for example, transactional intent is very much still done on Google, right? And I think for a while still. And the second thing is a lot of what we're doing right now of trying to rank for Google will also help us rank in Perplexity and GPT search, etc. So it will be interesting where it's exactly heading. At the moment, we just want to sort of position ourselves as good as possible for crawlers, right? Which in the end come down to a very similar thing: is this topical authority, domain authority, right? Being listed in high domain websites, listed calls. So that's what we're seeing also to be recommended in Perplexity, etc. It comes down to a lot of the same factors of SEO. Really long term, it's going to be hard to predict, right? And it might really change things in the long term, but I think we still have a window of opportunity to, especially now, capitalize on SEO, because we can use AI to really rank well. And it's one thing I want to add is intent-based content is going to be really important. Concise, right? That's what we're seeing. Traditionally, of course, there are a lot of these skyscraper, pillar, long. At the moment, what we're seeing is concise, really intent-focused content works really well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Fabio.
Any final questions for Ben? All right. Well, again, thank you all. Ben and Oscar, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, we have one last one. Guadalupe, please.
Hello, congrats Ben for this position. I really like it. I just want to ask, in case we want to have a meeting or a session with you, what is the best way to contact you?
You can go to my website,
Okay.
and you can book in a meeting with us there. Maybe, I don't know, Will, are you going to share the presentation?
We are. We're going to send a video out, and we'll send a link to your resources, your YouTube channel, and your website. So that'll be available to everybody to see how you can follow up with Ben.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I will put the link in the chat here too.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all again. Thanks for taking our 30-second survey. Before you sign off, Carlos, you get actually the last question. So go for it.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see your point of view regarding to create workflow using NAN and cursors to create and automate the creation for functional testing and regression testing. What do you think creating that?
For which specific application? Like,
Is for application made in Java, for example.
Mhm.
Is not an outside application. Is an application made in house.
in an in-house application. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell because I don't have enough experience with those tools.
Okay.
Like we really focus on process automation. We have been focusing mostly. So product building is different.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Maz, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this fruitful session. Actually, I learned a lot.
Thank you.
My question is related. I know when it comes to build some integration with MCP, there is something called MCBUs, which is a third-party library that allow, for example, to create. If I don't want to use Claude, if I want to create my own application to interact with the agentic AI. So, have you done any work on this space?
Not specifically, no. Not like they're like basically have multiple at the moment. I forgot the name, but there's MCP clients, right? Which is the ones at the moment, the platforms you can connect MCPs to, right? Which the major one is Claude. You have Cursor. There are some other ones. Very soon ChatGPT.
Even VS Code now support MCP.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
VS Code now support even the client server protocol, which is called SSE, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I predict very soon, in the upcoming weeks, months, all of the major platforms will have the MCP client set up, so we can start using MCPs in any of the major tools.
Yeah.
Great. All right, this has been a fantastic engagement from all of you. So thank you again. Thank you, Ben and Oscar, and I look forward to staying in touch. Goodbye,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.